I mean, I wear so many hats. I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm also a podcaster and I'm a speaker. So one day I was just thinking that, and I was flying from Delhi to Bombay, and someone was sitting next to me, and he's like, "Aap karte kya ho? Like, what do you do?" And at that point I was just thinking, like, no.
Sometimes it happens with the people that they try, they follow the consistency.
Yeah.
If I take one of the examples of UPSC aspirants,
Yeah.
they just study hard, they become bald UN, right? And sorry for them, as you said, the ko kangi besna. So means it happens like the consistency sometimes takes us to the big risk, but you are giving advice to have more risk in life. How true, how logical, how justified it is.
So I believe that master one, create a name in one, okay, and then it's very easy for you to add on other domains, and other things as well.
That there are 4P formula in the business or marketing, that is place, production and price, and then promotion, right? So as you are doing your face branding and like Gaurav Bhagat sir, I think more than Consortium Gifts or Gaurav Bhagat sir Academy, Gaurav Bhagat sir is being branded and famous.
Always be prospecting. जो दिखता है,
वही बिकता है.
right? So you have to keep showing up.
Right.
Because when you start showing up, when you start coming on stages, when you start coming, on shows, when you start, showing up in front of clients, now they realize that, okay, here is someone who is different.
Ritesh Agrawal, founder of OYO, he said in his article that when you start some startups, leave your family. Don't live with your family. Don't be trapped into the emotions. Then somewhere that hit me, and then I was very complex that what is the exact answer of it?
I talk about a template called the AAA, okay, which is attitude, action, acceleration. Okay, and it's also funnily, a band that I wear on my wrist. So if you see this, it says, attitude, action, acceleration, the green band. Right? Of course, there's another one that says I do whatever it takes and no excuses.
Okay.
But
Everyone, wait. Actually, I was somewhere wandering here and there to just know a great sales skills and how to pitch actually sales. I was very complex and confused. So someone suggested me that you have to consult a person who is expert in this exact department and industry. Then I asked that who is that person? Then the guy told me that he is none other than Gaurav Bhagat sir. So I found him, fortunately, and now I caught him, grabbed him, and just, started this conversation with an amazing personality who is great. Speaker, podcaster, and absolutely founder of, Consortium Gifts and founder of Gaurav Bhagat Academy, exactly. So today, let me not pitch and let me not actually scale up my lecture, and let me talk to sir for this regard. First of all, sir, good afternoon and welcome to this amazing podcast.
thank you. It is a pleasure to be here. Mohammed, been seeing your work. 7 to 8 months in podcasting now, 25 plus episodes in the bag, which is great. I think a lot of people, struggle with consistency, and you've been keeping that going. So awesome, and so good to be here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. First of all, in this age, and I could sense that you have a great smile and the aura, what you carry in your personality. I just want to know the reason behind it. That how do you carry it?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I think a lot of it comes from the belief, that and larger purpose. And my purpose really is to, give back and, create maximum, value and impact. I truly believe, even though everyone says, sales people are, unethical, and, sales ka banda wo hota hai, jo ganje ko kangi bechta hai, etc., etc. So all those things are there. But I believe that selling is about serving. It's not about selling. It's about giving. It's not about getting.
Right.
And I think when you come in with that kind of attitude to the world, I think the aura and the persona kind of shines through as well. So I think those are two of my core beliefs.
I want 2-3 tips for those people who are watching this podcast, actually, right?
Sure.
How they can develop this amazing and dynamic personality that always active, right? On the stage, Gaurav sir is active. In the podcast, Gaurav sir is active. Talking about the Consortium Gifts, Gaurav sir is active. Giving the training, Gaurav sir is active. So how can they be active? Learning from you, 2-3 tips.
Yeah, interesting question. So if you see, one of my labels over here, it says the 10x.
10x.
Right? So I think the key and the secret is the 10x think. Now, the 10x is not my think. It actually came from a person called Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone is, one of my coaches and mentors.
Okay. From which country?
From USA.
From you.
So he's from Miami, Fort Lauderdale, USA, actually.
Okay.
And I came across Grant Cardone in 2017 when we started using him for our company. I met him in 2018 for the first time in USA.
Okay.
And he would always talk about this thing. And he was himself, a struggling salesperson, when he was 26, 27 years old. And then you start impacting, or then you start implementing something called the 10x think. Now, the 10x think, and for all your viewers and listeners, what does the 10x think really mean? So imagine you are at point A and you want to get to point B. So you are where you are today, and the destination is where you want to get to. Okay, now to get to that, obviously you're going to have to take some degree of action, some degree of steps you're going to have to take, right? And most people think that okay, utne se kaam ho jayega. Like that's all we need to do. But what the 10x think, okay, what the 10x mindset actually states is that in reality, to get from point A to point B, you'll have to take 10 times the amount of action that you think you will have to take. So if you thought, to, let's say, if you're talking about sales, okay, to achieve your target, you need 5 meetings. You don't need 5 meetings, you need 50 meetings. Okay. You think it'll happen with 3 clients. It won't happen with 3 clients, it'll happen with 30 clients. So I think for me, and after meeting Grant, my entire, the 10Xs became my philosophy. So I would always do much, much more than my, my competition or people that I would pit myself against. But it would also happen not only in terms of, the action, but also be massive and it would be consistent. So it's not like, Dhoni ki tarah, you come in the last over of a match, you're trying to hit your chokkas and chakkas to win the match. You actually have to, build up those innings and you stay consistent. So I would say one of my top tips for everyone is that, bring in the 10x think into your life. Just know that, okay, massive action will be key, but it's also massive consistent action is something that's going to be key. And whatever you think it's going to take to achieve that one particular thing, it'll actually take 10 times that amount to actually achieve it.
You've given a great advice and suggestion, but here now I have become doubtful towards this 10x point and tighter.
Sure.
Because sometimes it happens with the people that they try, they follow the consistency.
Yeah.
If I take one of the examples of UPSC aspirants, they just study hard, they become bald UN, right? And sorry for them, as you said that ganje ko kangi besna. So means it happens like consistency sometimes takes us to the big risk, but you are giving advice to have more risk in life. How true, how logical, how justified it is?
So I would say, okay, now again, you talk about the element of risk, and many would actually say that I've always been a big risk taker. Because when I started Consortium was started from home alone with 10,000 rupees drawn on credit card. Okay, that's how the journey of Consortium today started. And today, Consortium is we're in 5 cities. We have 80 plus staff members. We have some of the biggest contracts in the world.
Right.
But all these things have only happened because of the element of and the appetite to take risk. Right, like some of you may have actually seen that show, Scam 1992, where it says, risk hai to ishq hai.
Mehta.
Right. So again, Harshad Mehta was actually one of my personal favorite and mentors, growing up. Because when I first got in the stock market, it was during Harshad Mehta's time when I was 16-year-old. I mean, of course, that's another story. So the element of risk is definitely there. But I think more important than risk, what comes into play today is actually the element of setting goals. Okay, and having goals which are smart goals. Like they always talk about smart goals, right? And smart, SMART, means specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound.
Right.
Okay, so these are the 5 elements of a goal. I think the biggest problem that youth has today is that their goals are all over the place. Okay, and they're not setting goals in place. So I think what is very important is once you've got your goals, once you've got a plan, and you start following that plan, then a lot of this other stuff will fall into place. And like you mentioned, even UPSC. And I've always wondered, I've like, why do people want to take a civil services exam? We're talking about 10 lakh people that are going to take the exam. 180 people are going to get picked.
Right.
Okay, which means your probability of getting chosen is 0.0001%. 8%. Right? I mean, boss, lottery खेल लो इससे ज़्यादा ही है. Like, the possibility of actually winning the lottery is more than going through the civil service exam.
Right.
Yet people will just continuously go and aspire for that. Again, I say, it boils down to your goals. Why are you taking it? Are you taking that exam because, your parents told you, or because, a peer group, someone told you, or you saw something? Or is there genuinely that willingness to give back and make, the country a better place by playing a role in the IAS? Right. So again, I think it boils down to the why, and the goals aspect is very important.
Great. I think it would be great suggestion for the people who are watching, and for me too, actually. So now I'm coming back to just, I went through your profile and I saw a very interesting and fascinating abbreviation, spice. Then I remember Kerala, that Kerala is the biggest producer of spice because we use masala for the khana. But what about this spice that fascinated me, and I want to dive deep into this spice that what you use actually.
Sure. Yeah, that's a lovely question. And again, I would just do so much. I mean, I wear so many hats. I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm also a podcaster and I'm a speaker. So one day I was just thinking that, and I was flying from Delhi to Bombay, and someone was sitting next to me, and he's like, "Aap karte kya ho? Like, what do you do?" And at that point, I was just thinking, like, normally if I would tell people I'm in the gifting business, like, people would run away because, gifting business, the person thinks that now you're going to sell them some gifts.
Right.
If you tell them, I'm a coach today, unfortunately, coaches also have a reputation where people run away from coaches also.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm actually, I'll be defined by an acronym called SPICE. He's like, interesting, tell me more. So the S is speaker, because I'm a speaker. I speak on stages in India and abroad. So that's the S. The P is a podcaster. Though I thought poker player, but I think podcaster is better. So the P is actually the podcaster because I do have 2 podcasts of my own as well.
Right.
The I is an investor. So I've always been very keen in terms of investing, of course, in markets, but now also investing in companies and startups.
Right.
The C is a consultant.
Okay.
Because I do come in and consult a lot of enterprises and organizations as well. And E at core, I've always been an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Right, I have a couple of companies, a few more in the pipeline as well. So that's the SPICE. So speaker, podcaster, investor, consultant, and entrepreneur.
Great. So Gaurav sir carries actually 5 designations and 5 different qualities. S for absolutely, speaker, that he's a great speaker. And then of course, P for podcaster, what he does, and I for investor, and then C for consultant, and E for entrepreneur. Wow, my memory is quite sharp, sir.
Indeed.
I got to know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like you have been into many fields, but this can be a kind of bad advice and suggestion for the people that, oh, you can be this, you can be this, you can be this. So Gaurav sir is advising to be multiple things. Is it okay?
It's an interesting question. And what I would say is that my suggestion would be first go all in one domain.
One niche.
Yeah. Okay. Master that. And once you've set in place, a frame, the template is there, then it's easy to scale and go into multiple things as well. Right? Because what happens is sometimes people don't fully commit to one particular domain. They're like, sorry, ye bhi karna hai, but then, the BSO syndrome, like, which is the bright, shiny object syndrome.
Right.
Something new pops in. They say, chalo, ye chodo, ab hum wahan chalte hain. So, but what has happened is you never fully committed to one, you picked another path. So what's going to happen is neither will you be here, neither will you be there. Right? So I believe that master one, create a name in one, okay, and then it's very easy for you to add on other domains, and other things as well.
True.
So that would be my advice, especially when people are starting out. Because if you try and do everything, you'll probably end up doing nothing.
Right. What is your suggesting duration that we should give to particular thing, particular department and niche? I want to be a great speaker or orator.
Right.
What time or what duration should I give to and devote to this field?
So for different people, it's going to happen at different, timelines. There's some people who are extremely gifted. They can pick up something very quick. They can become proficient at something very quickly. But yet, then there was another example where wasn't it the Bruce Lee quote where they said, I don't practice, one move. I practice one move 10,000 times rather than 10,000 moves once. Right? So the point is sometimes to achieve mastery. And I think it was John Maxwell who said this in one of his books, where he said that to achieve mastery, you have to give in X number of hours. Again, I think it was about 10,000 hours.
Right.
So to become a master, let's say a pianist, a piano player, or, someone who is a master in a skill, I believe the benchmark is 10,000 hours. Okay. But then the thing is 10,000 hours, there's some people who could do it quicker and there's some who would actually take it, even longer.
How much time it took you?
For me, it's always been a work in progress. I mean, if you take a look at, let's say the speaking side, let's just take that aspect. There was a time, and I'm going back maybe 13, 14 years, I was the quietest, most introverted person. I joined BNI. BNI is Business Network International. I mean, some of your viewers may have heard of it. So when I joined BNI now 14 years ago, I was the quietest, most introverted person in the room. Other I should sit in the back of the room, I should do my work and I should leave. There was never any opportunity or I even wanted to take the opportunity to speak. Then one day, one of my presidents, he said, okay, come and take a small slot. I took a slot. It was about 5 minutes. And someone sitting over there said, bhai, tere andar kuch hai. Right? Because when you speak, people listen.
Right.
And at the time, I'm like, kya bol rahe ho? Like, there was no way I was not going to go ahead and take that, entire plunge or anything like that. But little by little, then I said, okay, let me get a little better. When I should do slots, I should record myself. And some people should come and say, yaar, tere mein to ego badi zyada hai. Matlab, tu apne aap ko record kyun kar raha hai? You're very, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm trying to improve myself. I'm trying to see, where can I potentially, have I made mistakes which I need to overcome, for example. There's a time where I even joined Toastmasters.
Okay.
Because Toastmasters would actually tell you when are you using too many, filler words, when are you using too many evaluations, and, all of that kind of stuff.
Right.
I mean, I didn't stay there long because I also found a little bit of hostility towards me over there.
Okay.
Because when I joined Toastmasters, they said, why are you here? And I said, I want to become, India's best speaker. And India's best speaker was sitting in that room at the time. So he was a little threatened, he was the champion of he was the world champion of speaking in India. And, so he made the environment such then I figured that that's not the right room for me. Because what's very important is who do you surround yourselves with, right? And if I found that that energy is not right, then I probably won't stick around there. But it was interesting. So again, it took me time to answer your question. I think it was a good, 4 5 years of regular, practice and study. And I still practice and study. It's not like, it's achieved and it's perfected. It's always a work in progress.
That's what I have observed. Okay. So as a speaker, as now you confess that you have been working on your speaking skills and oratory skills for a long span of time. And that's a really very fascinating and very inspiring. And still you are learning and you are just improving yourself. So I just want to know that like how to be the best speaker, what Gaurav sir taught in the Toastmaster, sitting in the Toastmaster Club. So how to be the best speakers actually?
So again, it starts with the aspiration or the goal. Okay, so if you do have a goal to become, let's say, the world champion of speaking from India in the world, that's your goal. Okay, that's obviously the aspiration that you really have now. Next thing is, how is that going to happen? Obviously you're going to need coaching, mentorship. I mean, you're doing such a great job, with your institute and the kind of platform that you're providing to people who want to master the language. I mean, obviously people need to join up with you in that particular space as well. You will always need a coach and a mentor, right? Even for a cricketer to become a great cricketer. Dhoni didn't become a Dhoni, Tendulkar didn't become a Tendulkar until they had that desired level of, coaching and training. And of course, you have to put in the work, right? It's not going to happen. I mean, I'm also a sales guy, right? People say, Are you're a born salesman. Boss, no one is a born salesman. Even a salesperson has to learn, has to train, and only that's how it's really going to happen. So I would say top piece of advice, one is coaching, mentoring, the environment that you're in, aapka utna baithna kiske saath hai, the circles that you're really in, and again, being willing to put in the work. I think those are aspects that are very, very important, to get you there. And of course, in due course, it'll be a bit of luck also that'll be required. You have to be right time, right place kind of, situation where things will happen which will just make the jump, it'll be a quantum jump. So I think that's important as well.
Right, great. What's the biggest challenge in speaking? All right, when we start walking on the path of speaking and oratory, right? What's the biggest challenge? There is a term I would like to use, and I would like to say that's we call it glossophobia, right? Fear of public speak. Right. So it is one of the biggest terms that, according to me. And what do you think then? What is the biggest term?
No, I agree 100%. I mean, glossophobia is, the fear, as you mentioned, of public speaking, which for many is more than the fear of death.
Right.
Right. So they'd rather, face death than come onto a stage. True. And for some of us, I'm you're a great speaker. For me, it might not seem like a big deal. But I've also seen, again, at forums like BNI, where a chapter had 40, 50, 60 people. And there is a situation that comes where you make a 8-minute presentation where, to the room, you're going to come and present your business in 8 minutes. Now, for most people, that should be a no-brainer. Okay, you're passionate about your business, right? You are coming in a room full of people that you know and you want to speak. And there also people will cancel their presentation week after week after week. Finally, हमको निकाल दो, हम presentation नहीं कर पाएंगे, right? Now imagine this is a room full of 40, 50 people, which is your inner circle. But even for that, okay, the fear level is so high that people will not go and do that. So imagine when you go onto a bigger stage, okay, how daunting can it actually be? How does one overcome glossophobia? Well, it's again going to happen through exactly those same things. You have to, build up that confidence. It has to happen maybe in a smaller, setting.
Right.
Back in the day, we'd say, practice in front of a mirror. Today, your mobile phone is there is there with you all the time. Practice on your mobile phone, then maybe send that video to someone, ask them for feedback. What could you have done better?
Right.
Then maybe start in rooms of 2, 4, 5, 10, eventually scale it up. I mean, the largest room that I've spoken in today has had like 3,500 people, right? And this is the same Gaurav Bhagat who 14 years ago could not talk in front of 2 people.
Right.
So even for me, it's been a process, and then again, I would have watched, a lot of videos, I would have read a lot of books.
Right.
I would have, spent a lot of time with, coaches and mentors to improve. It's a process. There's no shortcut. It's not like, wake up tomorrow and you'll be a great speaker. It's not going to be like this.
So Gaurav sir, this is the situation like 14 years back. Gaurav sir has started his speaking, sales or business journey. And now there is a mirror in front of Gaurav sir. He's admiring himself or he's giving some goosebumping things to, to himself. What will be those lines and statements like? Mirror is in front of you and you are speaking at morning.
Yeah. So I think affirmations is still a very important part of, what I do and I say. And, just to give an example, like one of the first things I'm going to do when I wake up in the morning, okay, my feet hit the ground, okay, I'm going to say today is going to be an amazing day. Okay. So there's a template of ABC that I follow.
ABC.
ABC. So, and comes from Tiny Habits. Tiny Habits was from BJ Fogg. He's a Stanford, professor who wrote the book called Tiny Habits.
Right.
So he said that any new habit that you want to deliver, okay, so that's the B. The B is the new behavior.
Okay.
The A is something that you already do, and the C stands for celebration. So A, anchor. Okay, your feet up, सुबह बिस्तर से निकलोगे, your feet are going to hit the ground, anchor. As soon as that happens, then you say today is going to be an awesome day. Okay, which is the new behavior, which is the affirmation that you want to do. And the C is then you do a fist pump or you pat yourself on the back, which is the celebration.
Right.
So anytime you want to add, or this again for everyone listening in, anytime you want to add, or bring in a new behavior into your life, try the ABC. Okay, and it could be linked to anything. Like let's say you want to start exercising. Okay, again, it's like, okay, I'm going to get up in the morning, my shoes are going to be lying right next to me. I'm going to put on my shoes, I'm going to go for that walk. And once I'm on that walk, I'm going to do that fist pump. So things like that, the ABC template goes really well. So come back to, what would I look at a mirror and say even today? So one is, okay, like I said, today is a great day. I look at a mirror, still going to say, I'm awesome. I mean, I am the best at what I do, etc. So a lot of positive, affirmations, that are really there. And things like I love what I see. So those are just positive statements that you want to use, because you want the commentary in your head to be that, okay, the attitude within you has to be like the 10x attitude. It all starts with attitude. If the attitude is wrong, then everything is wrong, right? If the attitude is not up to where it should be, you're gonna have a bad day. So I think it's very important to get off to a great start.
Amazing. It's amazing actually. ABC, anybody can. Okay. So I can see two things. You have just mentioned 10x, which you have just learned from American speaker. Beside that, I can see the Indian flag, which is showing that you are true Indian, a very patriotic and nationalist. So how you combine both, learning from USA, giving back to India? How do you define your patriotism?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, very grateful to the country because whatever we have got has come from India itself. I think it was taken up a notch a few years ago. I was sitting with another coach of mine, and he was asking. It was room and there was 10 people in this mentor group, an Indian coach, and he's like, what is going to be your HBB? And your HBB is the highest best version of yourself.
Okay.
So he said, assuming someday, okay, it is time to hang up the boots and like the end part of your career, what will be your highest best version of you? Okay, and he's going around the room, he's asking people, and someone's saying, oh, 10,000 crore turnover, someone's saying, 5 offices, someone's saying 500 clients. And it came to me, and I'm just thinking, and I'm like, boss, agar impact banana hi hai, okay, and if you want to be the HBV, I said, then shouldn't it be about impacting like 1 billion people, right? Or having 1 billion people, who are in your favor. And hence, I gave him a number, and of course, not many people have heard it. So one of your podcasts is one of the first places where this will be actually mentioned. So I said by the 15th of August, 2041, I'd actually want to be the Prime Minister of India. Yep. So everyone's quiet and they're like, नहीं यार, ये तो नहीं हो पाएगा, ऐसे क्यों नहीं हो पाएगा? I said, मतलब जब aspiration होगी and देखी जाएगी, right? अभी तो 15 साल बाकी हैं. And I said, by that time, hopefully Modi ji would have also, stepped down and, whatever else. And I said, yeah, that's the whole, whole goal. So, hence I carry the India flag because there is a lot that I think I can give back. I think a lot of people today are also very, misguided by what they see on Instagram and YouTube. And it's a wrong kind of stuff, about get rich quick. And, there are shortcuts to success and going down the wrong methods. So I figured that at least with the life that I live or have lived and will continue to live, I think that can be inspiration for many. And of course, a lot of gratitude towards the country. And the goal is very much in place.
Great. तो प्रधानमंत्री बनना है? Of course. हाँ, तो मोदी जी की सीट खतरे में.
उस टाइम तक तो मोदी जी रिटायर कर ही रहे हैं.
Retired, please. Okay, anyway, so what I can say, I could just, cast my vote for your party in future. Thank you very much. Okay, now coming back to this, that you just mentioned that many people are misguided towards money management or richness.
Yeah.
That there are some Instagram reels where they're taught to be rich in a very quick and short span of time. So I want to understand that what is the right way, right method to be rich actually? How to be rich?
Yeah. Again, it again boils down to the goals aspect over here as well. I think when people do well at whatever they do, so whatever career, whatever profession they choose, once they start doing well, obviously they'll generate a little bit of money, right? Which will be in terms of obviously your salary or, your incentives, your bonuses. If an entrepreneur, even in terms of your profits, it's very, very important in terms of how is that money to be invested to grow as well.
Right.
Okay, today, unfortunately, what is happening, and I go to a lot of colleges and I speak over there, and sometimes speaking and this kid in front of me is, on an app and I said, tu kar kya raha hai? And he's like, I'm trading options, right? And I said, boss, yeah, FNO, matlab, where did you pick it up? Because FNO is like playing with dynamite. Okay, I've, like I said, been active in the stock market since I was, 16 years old. So now we're talking about like 30 plus years. And I still think FNO is like dynamite. Like it's the most dangerous thing. Yet kids are getting involved, in that particular aspect, but they think they can become rich overnight. Okay, but if anyone opens, even a website of, any HDFC Security to Zerodha, it'll always tell you 93% of people are going to lose money in FNO. 93%.
93.
But yet everyone believes that we can be that 7%. Okay, and today there's even more. Today there's, crypto, there's leverage trading. Sometimes people will, and we've had people in our own offices, okay, who sat down with 10,000 rupees, took leverage for lakhs, okay, and wiped out their salary not only for this month, but for the next 3 months also, and they lost in lakhs. Okay, on a salary of thousands, people are losing in lakhs only because they say we want to get rich quick. So I know while it sounds a little boring, there is no get rich quick. Okay, it has to happen through discipline. Okay, it has to happen through hustle. It has to happen by being excellent at what you do in your primary role. So,
Important point.
right,
Important
if you are a sales guy, or if you're a digital marketer, right, or if you are in the area, whichever area you're in, you have to do a really good job and make yourself invaluable in the role that you're actually performing in your organization.
Right.
Once you are invaluable to the role that you're performing, then obviously, your reward and recognition also really grows. Once you have that money coming in, okay, then it's about where you're investing that money.
Right.
Okay, it could be, like I said, even in boring things like, FDs or arbitrage funds, or, even in conventional stocks, mutual funds, SIPs have given phenomenal return.
Right.
Will they currently do so? Time will tell. But the India story remains strong, right? So hence, when the India story remains strong, you always have an option of, of growing your money over there, right? We're growing as an economy at what the RBI governor last week said, 7.8%. That's phenomenal, right? So the point is that, again, you have to be a little disciplined. And once you have a corpus, once you have, a sizable chunk behind you, then your risk-taking ability can also grow.
Right.
But what you also have to do is only a certain percentage of your money can go into a high-risk thing. Abhi, just we spoke about this college kid, 95% of his money is taken and put into the highest risk thing, which is stupid because it's going to go. But when you have a large corpus, you can take 5% and you can play a high risk, while the other amounts are actually put into buckets which are slightly lower risk and give you more consistent return.
Amazing.
So that's how that's going to happen.
I just read an article that $81 billion of the total net worth of Warren Buffett came after his 65th birthday. So till 65th, we cannot wait. As you said that, money needs consistency and continuity. But we are very quick-minded people and we want to achieve in a short span of time. Like I would like to give an example that many people do some startups. And as I heard an article which is, if I remember correctly, that 10,000 startups got closed in very short span of time. So how this happens, like they do some startups, they shut it, they go back. And what should they do when they are going to do some startups?
Yeah. So, entrepreneurship is not what it's made out to be. Everyone thinks, "Arey yaar, entrepreneurship, company kholenge, note chhapenge," right? So that's the way it is. But I think what people don't realize is that in the first 5 years, as much as 80% of companies will probably go bankrupt within the first 5 years, right? Post that, for the next 2 or 3 years, you probably will make enough money only to cover, your basic expenses. Okay, and then you've got the 15-20%, will probably go out there and make it. So just know that 2 out of 10 are actually only going to go out and get massive success.
Right.
Okay, yet you have people today on Instagram, on YouTube, and saying, "Boss, chodo, become whateverpreneur, and just jump in and do my course, and you will be assured to 100% guaranteed success without capital." I mean, these are just such wrong expectations and beliefs that are being fed to the world, which is just not okay.
Right.
So again, what's going to be required is going to be obviously a great product or a service, something that has a demand in the market. Like when I started out in corporate gifting, okay, at that time what happened is, and we're talking about now 1999, 2000, the market is very different. Okay, there was very little supply.
Right.
There were very few consistent good players who were there in the market. So when I walked into a Maruti or when I walked into Schneider, I was given that entrance.
Right. True.
Today, if someone enters corporate gifting and they say, "Hum ji start karna hai," and we have limited capital, okay, and we don't have the contacts, I said your possibility of succeeding is like 5% of what it was for me back then. Okay, because today most buildings, if you try to enter a building in Gurgaon, you won't even get an entry. Right. And the point is that a lot of people today, have a very high barrier in terms, who can really enter. You need certifications, you need people, you need infrastructure. When I started, I was working from home. Right? I mean, people ask me, "Kahan hai tera setup?" I say, "Ghar pe de, chal, theek hai, koi baat nahi hai. Banda acha hai, kaam de dete hain." Today, that's almost out of the question. You go to a multinational company, you say, "I work from home and I've got no staff." Boss, they'll be like, "Guard isko aane ko, let him in." Right? They'll actually toss you out from outside only. So those kind of aspects are things that, one has to be the barriers for entry have also changed.
Yeah.
The patience levels that are required are extremely high as well.
Right.
So many things have changed in that area.
Great. Wow. Great things that so you have told. But the point here, I would like to understand that you just, you're running Consortium gifts and now you have taken it to next level, and which is, of course, 10x, right? So you started from home, but you were very consistent towards it. Like you had a vision, you had a plan, and you just, stuck it to it. How do you suggest people that to be stick towards their goal and with their goals?
Yeah. So again, one is definitely write them down. Okay, that's something that's very important. So write down your goals, but also write down goals which are short-term goals. Okay, goals which you'll achieve, let's say in the 3-month time period. You have a medium-term goal, which is like a 1-year time period. You have a long-term goal, which is a 5-year time period. Okay, and then you have a legacy goal, which is 10 years and beyond, which is like a really long-term goal. So very, very important to identify your goals and take actions towards those goals. So that aspect is of course extremely important. And in between you will have people who will come and say, अरे यार ये ऐसा ज़माना है, छोड़ जो तू कर रहा है गलत है, इसके अंदर घुस जाते हैं. So you'll have a lot of people who come in and try and distract you and take you off your path. But again, stick to the path. Yes, if you want to try out, once you, like I said, you mastered something or put your hands in something else, by all means, please do.
Right.
But again, stick the path, stick to the goals.
Right.
Once you've achieved your milestones, you've got your teams in place, then by all means, feel free to, diversify.
Great.
So
Coming back to one of the very interesting topics that and points that is actually sales, right? Because I think at initial phase, when we are a salesman, we go to the people reject us. At the next level, we are the people sitting at our own place, people approach us, we are like कि wait करो लाइन में. तो एक बार हम लाइन में जाते हैं, फिर लाइन हमारे पास आती है. तो वो पहले लाइन में जब हम जाते हैं, उसको कैसे फेस किया जाए? Because that time people reject us. Bluntly, they reject us. No, sorry, we don't need. Sorry, we don't know your company. We don't know your product. How to face that rejection actually?
So, like we were talking about glossophobia when it came to, speaking and communication, the fear of rejection is one of the biggest reasons why people can't come into sales. Because they say, अगर हम मांगने जाएंगे तो हमें ना सुनने को मिलेगा. So just the fact that we will have to hear no is one of the biggest, fears that people have, when it comes to sales. But I always said, and like, you have the Ritik ad, right, on Mountain Dew. वही से डर के आगे जीत है.
डर के
You have to face your fears, okay? Because fear, I mean, two definitions, okay? One is face everything, okay, and rise, or the other one is the fear is what was it? Like where you say, so face everything and rise, and the other definition for fear is something and run, right? So there is like, I think, fear and run or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So the point is face everything and rise, okay? So there will be obstacles, there will be, rejection, there will be dejection, there will all be these things. Be willing to face it, okay? And of course, rise beyond it. So definitely that's something that's going to be there. Something that you said, which is very interesting, but you said, initially what is happening is that we have to make the outreach. In due course, what's going to happen is they're going to make the outreach to us.
Yes.
But the truth is, never get that complacent. Never ever think that I've arrived and now people will come to me. Okay, one of the most important things in sales is prospecting. Okay, and prospecting means just getting out and meeting people. Okay, getting out and being on forums. Like today, even being on your show, being on this podcast, it's a form of prospecting, right? Because there are many people who'd be, listening to this, watching this, who probably wouldn't have known me up till today. But by virtue of this conversation, they say, okay, who is Gaurav? What is Consortium? What is GBA? So even this is a form of prospecting, right? We might today be one of the largest companies in the country, but have we stopped prospecting? Absolutely not. In fact, we have doubled the amount of efforts that we're making. Okay, you'd asked me when we were traveling last. I just come back from Portugal.
Right.
Okay, I was in Portugal where there was 120 people who'd come from around the world. Okay, very, very niche conference. There was only 3 people from Asia, and there was only 1 speaker from Asia. And you guess who that 1 speaker was? Yeah, it was me who was the speaker. Okay, and with me I had ASI, Tim Andrews, who's the head of ASI, one of the largest organizations in the world. We had Jay Deutsch from BDA, $650 million company. Okay, uske beech mein main with $10 million company, sitting in between all of that. But the point is that, again, people over there, it's like, हमें तो पता ही नहीं था इंडिया में ऐसे भी लोग हैं, right? So even there, I was going out there and prospecting. I was reaching out to people. So people from Minnesota, Michigan, Miami, the UK, they all came and said, why are we not working together? I said, let's start, right? So the point is, again, what happens is that never ever think that, okay, now I have enough. So, now people will come to me. Okay, you still have to keep reaching out to people. Okay, that's going to be one of the key, lessons for your audience as well. Always be prospecting. All right? Always be prospecting, because the truth is, okay, and like they would say in Hindi, right? जो दिखता है,
वही बिकता है.
right? So you have to keep showing up.
Right.
Because when you start showing up, when you start coming on stages, when you start coming, on shows, when you start, showing up in front of clients, now they realize that, okay, here is someone who is different. Okay, gifting can be bought from some guy in Karol Bagh also.
True.
Okay, why should they come to Consortium Gifts in Noida and pay maybe 15% more? Because they say, I like this guy, I like this company, I like what they stand for, I will pay them their premium, but only because of how they show up in the world. So
Amazing.
that aspect is very important.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, great lesson. I think it is one of the most heart-touching lessons that I've got. That is, कि you have reached to the room, but don't rest.
100%.
Keep on walking.
Because if you ever believe that, okay, now I have arrived, okay, and my time has come, and what's going to happen is now you start flatlining and eventually you start declining, right? If you have to keep moving up, you have to keep showing up in the world, you have to keep being in action. 10x thing, 10x thought, that can't stop.
So say it is same like earning money and sustaining money and growing.
Also.
Right? Yeah. Coming back to this, as you have just told a lot of things about it, and now I want to understand that there are 4P formula in the business or marketing, that is place, production, and price, and then promotion, right? So as you are doing your face branding and like Gaurav Bhagat sir, I think more than Consortium Gifts or Gaurav Bhagat sir Academy, Gaurav Bhagat sir is being branded and famous. Is it good way to promote business, or is it individualism that you are following?
So I would say, to my mind, I think it's a great way, irrespective. And again, for whoever's watching and listening in, you need to be the brand ambassador for your company, and for what you do and your brand. I mean, your brand, you are your brand first, right? I mean, today, even if you look at the context of India, I mean, Prime Minister Modi is a great brand for the country, right? People are saying, okay, ever since Prime Minister Modi has come, the way India is perceived in the world has totally changed. Okay, so he put himself out there.
Right.
Okay, and he said, if it is to be, it's up to me. So he kind of, took that kind of, responsibility as well. So I would always say for, an owner, for a promoter, even if you're doing a role in an organization, I think it's very important for you to put yourself out there, and you should be the brand, and the face as much as possible.
Great.
And if an organization allows it, as even if you work in an organization and the organization allows for it, I think that's fantastic. There are some companies where I believe that, people are not being allowed to post on LinkedIn. I'm like, why? And they're like, no, someone will come and post them. I'm like, that's stupid, right? The fact is that, they're going out there and they're also, speaking about themselves, their company, the roles that they do. It's also getting your company attention, right? It's also getting them to stand on the world. So it can't, and success cannot only be a one-person game. It has to be a team game, right? It is the teamwork that makes the dream work. So hence the point is, never be threatened that, okay, if others in the team start promoting themselves, what's really going to happen? I think that's very narrow thinking.
Should we not be scared of it?
Absolutely not. Never. I think that's insecurity that, is something that, it's a sign of an insecure person. I think if, again, and I totally believe that, in our organization, we have so many rock stars, and I think that they should be out there promoting themselves, and they would be. They would be showing up on PR pieces, they would be showing up at, events, they'd be representing us as well. And we're not threatened. We're not threatened.
Amazing.
So I don't think one should be. I think it's a sign of insecurity if you actually were, and you can't do it alone, right? Even Modi ji needs a team, right? And there are, and similarly, anyone to succeed will require a team. So if you aren't incentivizing the team by, showing them the vision, showing them that what they can also do in due course, then you're doing them a disservice also.
True. What is more popular, Consortium Gifts or Gaurav Bhagat sir?
Okay, that's a loaded question. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, Consortium has been there for a very, very long time. I only started branding and marketing myself, relatively recently, maybe after the pandemic only, let's say. But I think the assets that we have created, and it could be the podcast, it could be the fact on how I show up on stages like, like BNI or GXN or IGC, global stages which I'm coming on, or my speaking gigs. So obviously, I think there is a rub off. It's both ways. Gaurav is because of Consortium is because of Gaurav, right? But I think it's also larger than it's just me, right? I think that's also very important. There is an amazing set of people that we have in the organization across all departments: marketing, PR, HR, sales. I mean, they're front facing,
Right.
and we have a very clear escalation matrix where if something goes wrong, they know that they can always reach me, and I'll always come in and intervene. But amazingly, in 9 out of 10 cases, my intervention is not even required. So again, I think it's a great culture. It's a great organization that we built.
Amazing.
Come back to your thing. I think it's like, I would say, it's kind of 50-50 situation.
50-50 situations. So let's move to this 50 to 10x. Like, we are just somewhere talking on sales. How to take our sales to the, of course, 10x.
Yeah.
How to take this to the 10x? Because somewhere, what I have observed in the people or middle class thinking people, that they're like, okay, I need 10,000 today. I have to make 10,000,
Right.
and then go empty. Tomorrow 20,000, go with 20,000, then empty. But they don't think in logical way, they think in emotional way. So how to take our sales to the next 10x level?
Yeah. So again, my advice to everyone who's watching, or listening in would be this: that it's very, very important to set your goals, right? And like we spoke about those four, durations. So the short term, medium term, long term, and legacy. But also the thing is, your goals cannot only be your work goal, cannot only be your monetary goal. Okay, cannot only be the 10,000 rupees or 20,000 rupees.
Right.
Like I always say, goal setting should happen in 6 areas. Okay, one is your work, because yes, obviously, you'll do well in work, and you'll grow and prosper. It's a very fulfilling situation. Once you do well in work, you'll have some money. So then comes your finance goal. So once you're creating that money, okay, today I'm making 10, tomorrow I'm making 20, later on I want to make 50, then I want to invest some of that money to grow that money, so that there's also some kind of, let's say, passive income that's coming in through, let's say, rental or dividend or, interest or whatever that, whatever that money really
Right.
creates. The third thing you must have is a lifestyle goal. Okay, this is something that I want to buy, that new mobile phone, that car, that vacation, do something with my family. So you have the lifestyle goal. Fourth is you must have a mental goal. Okay, something that I want to learn. Like again, you're doing such a great job in terms of communication and getting people to speak better English. Obviously, किसी का goal होगा that I want to join with Mohammed and I want to learn English. I want to join the institute and I want to do better in English. So that's a mental goal. It's a learning goal. The fifth is also a health goal, because we realized, in the last few years, if health is lost, everything is lost.
Yes.
Right? Today, if we didn't have health, we would not be sitting and having this conversation. We would not show up with that kind of energy for our students and for our community. Right? And the last one is you must have a goal towards family and relationships.
Family and
Right? Like so many people we see, itna paisa kamaya, but they, father is not talking to a son. There's one organization, very like renowned, famous organization, where the son actually disowned the father. Right? Everyone knows about it. We're not big names. Right? But the point is, the father, like, he gave everything to the son, and the son threw him out only, including out of the house itself. Right? And they're not things happening in movies like Bagban and stuff. These things are happening in real life as well. So again, you've got all the money in the world, but father is not talking to a son is not talking to a brother, or a sister, or friends are not talking to each other, or in a company, the guy walks in, and when he walks in, the boss walks in, everyone is abusing him. Like, why do you want that? Right? So also family and relationships. So I think 6 areas, 4 durations, that really has been, our secret. And I think something that I've been a big proponent of, that it has to be a 360-degree approach. You focus only on one thing. Okay, you focus only on your work, nothing else. Your health is going to go bad. Your relationships are going to go bad. Right? You may make a lot of money, but you will have issues in other areas as well. True. So it has to be a well-rounded approach. That's very important.
of 6 goals you have told, and I think these 6 goals are really great lessons. But Ritesh Agrawal, founder of OYO, he said in his article that when you start some startups, leave your family. Don't live with your family. Don't be trapped into the emotions. Then somewhere that hit me, and then I was very complex that what is the exact answer of it?
So it's interesting, to my mind, and I'm just going back to my startup days as well, because I was, once a startup also. I worked, there was crazy hustle, right? My friends, I was still in college, my friends were, going for movies, and, they were going for, discos and this and that. I'm like, nahi bhai, kaam karna hai. So there was a lot of sacrifice that happened on the side of it. I was not showing up, and they're like, bhai, tu hamesha kaam karte rehta hai, tera kuch nahi ho sakta. There are family members that came and told my grandmother, saying that, he should just go and get a job. Nothing's ever going to happen for him. And I said, no. I said, I know that this is going to work off, and this is going to, this don't pay off in the long term. But I still think that my family was a great support. There were times when I was in a great, like, a really bad day, and I would, come back and talk to my mom. Was still alive at the time. She passed away later. But I would, come and confide in her or speak to my father. When we would, have big wins, we'd celebrate together. So I'm not of the belief that you should actually, give up on your, on your family. I think what Ritesh may have also mentioned is that there will be a lot of sacrifice. There will be a lot of struggle. There will be a lot of hours that you'll have to put in. Like today, when you tell kids that, okay, sometimes we worked 16 hours. Okay, what had to be done had to be done. Like karna hai to karna hai, right? That was the whole objective. Right? Like not very far from here used to be Maruti's biggest courier company, very close to where you are today. And I remember there were times where you were delivering, Maruti's orders, and they're like, कोई लेबर नहीं मिल रही. ऐसे कोई बात नहीं, हम खुद उठा के जाएंगे. So we picked up cartons, 40 cartons, okay, and we took them up to the second floor, the third floor. Maruti's office used to be in Jeevan Prakash building, which was in CP, 11th floor. The lift was not working. Right, we carried cartons up 11 floors. So Narendra still with us. So Narendra and I, and we used to have one driver. 3 of us used to go and we should deliver, 40 cartons up, 11 floors. Today you tell someone that, अरे यार, something lying there, उठा के, कहीं डाल दो. ये भी हाँ, मैं pantry boy को बुलाता हूँ या helper को बुलाता हूँ. Boss, हमने कुछ नहीं सोचा. जब करना है तो करना है. So I think, again, what Ritesh should probably have mentioned is the fact that you need to put in the hours. Okay, if someone says, I'm going to work only 9 to 5 and that's going to be enough. Absolutely not. Sometimes you're starting at 6 in the morning and you're probably going till 1 o'clock at night. Okay, so it's about putting in that hustle. It's about making sacrifices. I think those are some of the key things, that he would have probably mentioned. I just think your family and friends can be great sounding boards. They can be great sports. I wouldn't walk out on them. And also the thing is, when you're starting out, it's cool if you're living with your family. Because, if you're stuck, you can reach out to them, for, again, emotional support, maybe financial support. Your overhead of, working out of your home is great, overhead. You don't have to pay rent to anyone. आपको बाहर office में जाके, किराया वगैरह नहीं देना पड़ रहा. You can still use your, your father's home or your uncle's home or your brother's home. So I would kind of disagree, but I think what he would have meant is the fact that, put in the hustle, put in the work. There is no, I have finished for the day. Okay, there's no finish for the day. Boss, karna hai to karna hai. If it takes 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours, I mean, there are times where I know I was making a delivery for, one customer. The delivery was due till 6 a.m. the next day. And we worked through the night till 6 a.m. We did not sleep. We went and made the delivery, and for that we got no appreciation, but it was a job that had to be done, right? But in due course, that client, then became a good client, referred 2 other clients. Amazingly, Consortium did not do any marketing for almost the first 12 years because everything was word of mouth. Like, this is boss banda sahi hai, company अच्छी है, इनके साथ काम करोगे तो सही रहेगा. So no marketing for the first 12 years of our organization, only word of mouth.
But now marketing.
Of course, because now we're looking to scale at a level which is also, very, very high. I mean, today if you're doing 100 crores and we say we want to be 1,000 crore company, boss, word of mouth cannot get you there.
Right.
It has to be through marketing. It has to be through digital. It has to be through global networking. It has to be through the BNIs and the GXNs and the IGCs. So, I mean, once you get to a particular scale, it's not possible to do it just by word of mouth.
True. Coming back to this, that you are giving good suggestions to the people who are watching this podcast. I remember one of the statements of Rohit Shetty, that he said that if you are paid 1,000 rupees, don't work for 1,000, work for 2,000, 3,000. So what are your suggestions to those people that if there is a target of 5 sales, they close it, then should they come back or they should go with 10 closings, 15 closings?
Yeah, it's very interesting, and for some of, your viewers who may have also seen my TEDx talk, I talk about a template called the AAA, okay, which is attitude, action, acceleration.
Okay, scares.
And it's also, funnily, a band that I wear on my wrist. So if you see this, it says, attitude, action, acceleration, the green band. Right? Of course, there's another one that says, I do whatever it takes and no excuses.
Oh, yeah.
But this, coming back to this A, the third A, okay, the third A, acceleration. Okay, and why I bring this up is that sometimes what happens is people hit their target. 1,000 रुपए कमाना था, 1,000 रुपए कमा लिया, 2,000, 3,000, जो भी था, you hit your target and you say, अब मेरा काम हो गया, now it's time for me to take it easy. My logic is the opposite. Okay, my logic is the fact that you've got the momentum behind you. Okay, you've got the confidence, deals are closing, things are moving, well in your favor. Now is not the time to take it easy. Now is the time to push the pedal down, okay, and accelerate and bhagao your gadi even faster. Okay, like, take an example of cricket now, for example. Okay, if, Virat Kohli got his first, couple of hundreds, he joined the Indian team, he knew his place was, set in the team.
Right.
Did he now decide to take it easy? They said, my place is set. Or he said, I need to train harder. Okay, I need to go out there and become so feared as a batsman that when a bowler starts bowling at me from the other side, he should also shake. Okay, Virat Kohli दूसरी side पे batting कर रहा है.
Right.
And his aspiration was not 5 centuries, 10 centuries. He said, who's the number one? Who scored the maximum number of centuries? Tendulkar. Right? Tendulkar had 100 centuries. So Virat Kohli all the time said, I'm going to go for 100. So why are you stopping at 1,000, 2,000, 5,000? Check in your organization. What is the sales record? Okay, what has been the biggest sale that's happened in the history of your organization? Once you've broken that, then think what's the biggest record that's been hit in your industry? Go after that. In India, then maybe even globally, what's the biggest number? Go after that. You never actually ever stop. You only keep accelerating and you keep going faster and faster.
Right.
And the main thing is when you have momentum behind you, when you have the wind behind your back, when the confidence is there, that's a great time to be running faster, not taking it easy.
I'm coming to third A, which is acceleration, right? Accelerate or accelerate.
Yeah.
So now coming to this, I read one of the articles of B. Batra. He is a writer in Management Thoughts. He mentioned that businesses got closed because they wanted to scale up or they wanted to enlarge. So sometimes enlargement also can harm us.
So it's interesting, and I'm sure there's a good, logic behind why he wrote this. But I think what is very important is that if your foundation is weak, okay, and your foundation is weak, and then you're trying to scale, it's very very possible that the building will come falling down. Take an example, right? You want to build the Burj Khalifa, okay, it's one of the tallest buildings in the world, but agar foundation weak hai, okay, there's no way that's even going to get to a second floor. Okay, it's just all going to come coming down. So I think if your foundation is actually strong, okay, then all you have to do is just build on that, and from that perspective, you're not going to come down. Why will someone collapse? Okay, and I'm thinking now as a business owner slash coach or consultant. I mean, what are the key variables that you require? One is capital. Do you have money? Do you have the financial, let's say, backing that you need to scale? Right. So one, if people don't have financial backing, they over leverage themselves. There's going to be an option. There's going to be a problem, right? They're going to collapse. Number two is, do you have a team? Right. So are the right people in the right place? So do you have people who will be able to service when more orders start coming in?
Right.
Like the day before yesterday, there was a case that came out where someone had scaled their app and or started marketing that app, but they were not ready for the attention that they got. So people said, oh, crashes are there, complaints are there. Fair enough, they have the wherewithal, they will be able to address it, but they at that point didn't have the people in the right seat. So team is very important. Third is product to service. Product, right? Let's say there's a product, okay, and we'll take an example. Let's take an example of a t-shirt. Okay. So again, you're scaling up a t-shirt business, but what happens if the raw material goes off? Like, let's say cotton is gone from the market right now. Cotton is not available. You've got the orders. Okay, you've got the factory that's willing to go out there and make the t-shirts, but the cotton fabric is not coming in. So now you have a supply chain mismatch. So many factors come into play. But to my mind, I think the key things will be the money, the people, and having the right product or service. If you have those in place, sky's the limit.
So yeah, the question is that since when Gaurav sir has been money minded?
Okay. So again, I'll share something that not many people know about. The joke used to be, okay, and I came from a family which wasn't very money minded, but I was born in Calcutta, and we came from a family which, like I said, was pretty chill. But for me, there was always this, aspect. I got my first visiting cards printed when I was 12 years old, and I was, buying shares in the market when I was 16. I was trying to make money when I was 6. So the joke was that in Calcutta, I might have been switched with a Marwadi kid. So they said that hospital के अंदर हो सकता है आप exchange हो गए because हमारे family में ऐसा था नहीं culture actually. So I think it was something that was always on my mind. Um, but interestingly, the more money we're actually making, the more we're giving away. So it's not like I'm trying to become like a billionaire or something like that. It's not really like that. In fact, I think it's quite a interesting thing that I actually give away more than I actually keep or make. Right. So that's we're in this big thing of just giving away, and I'm talking about giving away to, let's say, staff members, giving away to charities, giving away to everywhere else. So money has always been a priority. Um, and I'm conscious that money does make the world go around, and money is essential, but it's not um overbearing, and it's not always about the money.
Right.
It's about much bigger things now. But yeah, I mean, right from the age of as far back as I can remember, from as far as I was 6 years old, the idea was to always make money. Even today, as an organization, I mean, the organization must make money.
Right.
I've already, like I said, met most of my needs, and we've got everything that we require, by God's grace. But the organization must make money, because today, if we're at 100 staff members, we want to get to 1,000. We want to get to 5 countries. We want to get to 13 offices. We want to become the number one gifting company in Asia. It's going to obviously require money, right? And of course, in other businesses as well. So yeah, I'm conscious of the fact that. Your bottom line is important. A lot of people say, "Haan ji, aapka turnover kitna hai?" I'm like, boss, it doesn't matter. Okay, because top line is vanity. There are companies that do 1,000 crores, 5,000 crores, 10,000 crores, but yet they have losses of 1,000 crores. Their bank debt is of 500 crores, right? So I say top line is vanity. Okay, bottom line is sanity. So how much profit you're making is very, very important, and most important is cash in the bank. If you don't have cash in the bank, okay, then nothing matters, because cash is king.
Right.
So again, for those listening in, top line is vanity. It doesn't matter 1,000 crore, 5,000 crore, 10,000 crore ki company. Bottom line is sanity. So you have to be making a profit on that transaction, and cash is king. If you don't have money in the bank and you have loans of 500,000, 2,000 crores, you will not be able to sleep at night.
Right.
Well, right. Eventually, have to run away and go to UK or some bad.
All right. You are just indicating towards someone, right? Okay. So as you said that, you are somewhere giving away money, right? Into giving away money. But often we are criticized by our own members or some people that who are logical or business minded that, oh, you give away your money. What about you? Sometimes being the director, I think you must not have paid to yourself or you must have paid to your staff. It must have happened. So what do you think on that point?
So two interesting questions that we just brought up. Okay, one is in terms of near and dear one saying, are you giving away too much? So luckily in my family, no one says that. In fact, they say we hope that you make more so you can give more.
Okay.
That's one particular aspect. And I've always believed, okay, and you would also have seen this: the more you give, the more you get back, right? And this is not only in money, but this is in time, this is in energy, right? This is when you contribute towards a cause. So the more you give, the more you get back. So interestingly, again, the more we're giving away, the more we're actually making, back in terms of return. So that's actually quite interesting. The second aspect that you mentioned about paying yourself first, very interesting book which I read many years ago. It was called The Richest Man in Babylon.
Richest man in Babylon.
Yeah. If you haven't read it or if viewers haven't, read it, you guys should.
Right.
In that, one of the first rules is pay yourself first.
Pay yourself.
Pay yourself first. Okay, so biggest mistake that entrepreneurs make, startup entrepreneurs make, सबको पैसा दे देंगे, supplier को पैसा दे देंगे, तनख्वाह वनख्वाह में पैसा दे देंगे. They'll pay everyone. अपने they'll never take money themselves because they always say, we are sacrificing ourselves for the greater good and all of that. What he says in The Richest Man in Babylon is always pay yourself first. Okay, so before you pay anyone else in the organization, pay yourself first. So before I pay anyone else, I definitely take my salary. Okay, I do that every month. Then of course, what am I going to do with that salary, invest it or use it for growth or whatever else is separate. But pay yourself first. So that would be a big piece of advice. That don't be a martyr. Don't always say I'm sacrificing this and I'm doing it for the greater good. Yes, all those things are great, but pay yourself first. That's important.
Somewhere be self-centered and be selfish.
Not really. I think if you pay yourself first, what happens is that if you have that degree of, let's just say peace that, okay, I'm looked after, my family's looked after, you'll be in a situation where you will be able to give more back, to all the stakeholders as well.
Great.
So
I'm coming with some rapid fire questions like I would like to ask. So, scaling up business in UK, USA, India.
today, India.
India today and tomorrow.
No, for now India. USA, UK का time हो गया. मतलब अब अपना time आ गया. So, I mean, seeing access to, I think UK is probably the worst of the lot. US is going to follow. India is where the game is at.
Okay. Watching movie with wife or alone?
Wife.
Wife. Okay. So, earning money for yourself or for entire family?
I think today it is for the family, which is the organization. So it's not me, it's not my family. Now it's the organization. So it's about making more for them.
Great. Feeling good, being the podcaster or being podcasted?
Good question. I think when you're on a great podcast, like today we're on a great podcast, great conversation, right? So I think that is up there for me. I think if I have a great guest and I'm on the other side and asking the question, I think that's a great feeling as well. Of course, if you are on a podcast where the person has really done the research, the questions are not engaging, the energy is not there, then absolutely I'd rather be the podcaster than be the guest. But I think today you've crushed it. So.
Thank you so much. All right. Okay. I want to know the reason behind these many bands and all and these decoration on your dressing and body. I just want to know.
So they basically remind us now. I mean, there are three of them actually. So one is the orange one says, I do whatever it takes, no excuses. So that's one of my core things that bhane nahi banane boss. Because Cardone always said, boss bhane bana lo ya paise kama lo, ab dono nahi kar paoge. So you can make excuses, you can make money, you can't make both. Okay. My piece also became is that you can either make excuses or you can be MAD, which is you can make a difference. Okay, so MAD for me is about make a difference. So that's this one. AA is because it was my TEDx talk. It's something I really believe in. As I teach, when I teach sales also, I go to companies, I teach AA. So attitude, action, acceleration. The third one was BJ Fogg because he was my other teacher. And he says habits are the foundation to success. And it says tiny to 10x. Not everyone can do 10x. Okay, if I tell you that
Missing from today's podcast that you would love to speak on that.
missing on your podcast or podcasts in general?
This podcast.
No, I think you've done a great job, in covering up, a lot of aspects. I think the one element which is not only trending, but one has to be mindful of is the role that AI is going to play in the future. I think that's an interesting, point to delve upon, because there's a lot of fear about the redundancy that AI is going to cause, the number of job losses that AI is going to cause. I mean, there are some speakers who are saying that as much as 85% of the jobs that we have today will not exist by 2035, which is crazy, right? And a lot of the courses that kids are doing today will have no relevance maybe by even 2032. So it's potentially super disruptive. And I think that's something that, warrants a bit of a look in as well.
So are you justifying AI or not?
So I think AI is an amazing amplifier. I think use it to amplify. Don't disregard it thinking that this is a trend that's going to go away, and that I don't need to get on the AI bandwagon. I think you're dead if you don't. So I think it's very, very important.
Right.
You'll find that, when people are today even going for interviews or when interviews are happening, everyone's saying, tell me about your AI proficiency. Okay, and it's not only about typing out a mail on ChatGPT. It's also about, how are you now using agentic AI? How are you now using, even the next level of, creation on AI? So I think it's very important. We all have, an area that we're all creative in, an area that we're good in, use AI to amplify. So find out what are your strengths and how can AI amplify your strengths. I think that aspect is very important. Don't disregard it thinking that ये तो जी आज है कल चले जाएगा boss खा जाएगा आपको.
खा जाएगा.
Like you'll be gone,
हाँ.
but AI is not going away. So I think at least for next few years, the AI bandwagon, like be all in on it. That's very important.
Anything in the last to the viewers or to the people?
No, I would say that, follow Mohammed and team. They're doing a great job. Truly, English as a language is something that, is so important. And if you can communicate well, you'll really stand out from, the audience. I think that aspect is very, very important. And if you have to get ahead, you have to, just put in that little bit of effort. And we spoke about that right in the beginning, that find yourself a good mentor, find yourself a good coach, be all in, be invested, and be willing to put in the work. Nothing good comes easy. A little bit of hard work will be required, but in due course, you will truly reap the fruits of your labor. So just go in there and be all in.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think this has been one of the most fascinating podcasts that I have ever conducted. And actually, because personally, I have learned a lot from Gaurav Bhagat, sir, and the ideas and the innovative ideas, creative ideas, what he carries with himself, and the books he quotes, actually, even I have not quoted these many books in my entire life that today he has quoted in single podcast. So I definitely and truly, I have been fascinated and inspired by this special conversation and talks. And I think you must have also learned a lot. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you.